Buffalo Bills are walking straight into the fire in Week 1, and that fire's name is the Baltimore Ravens. You already know the matchup is going to be intense. Two of the top contenders in the AFC, two fan bases that believe this is the year, and two teams that feel like they've got something to prove right out of the gate. But here's the thing. Week 1 games? They're always weird. They're unpredictable, they're sloppy, and they're full of X factors you just can't prepare for. So today, we're diving into those factors, breaking down what really matters heading into Bills versus Ravens. Let's start with what makes this Week 1 matchup especially tricky, and it's not just the Ravens. It's the unknowns. Week 1 is the first real look at so many new wrinkles, so much change, and so little tape. You got new coordinators, new personnel, even new roles for veterans. You can study last season's film all you want, but it's not going to give you the full picture. And that's where the X factors start creeping in, the little things you can't game plan for. Take Baltimore's offense. There's this assumption that they'll be running back the same setup as last year. Lamar Jackson doing Lamar things, Derrick Henry smashing through tackles, and Zay Flowers flying down the sideline. But the reality is they're building on that foundation in a big way. The continuity is dangerous. They already averaged over 30 points per game last season, rushed for close to 200 yards per game, and were top 10 in passing. And now, they added DeAndre Hopkins. No, he might not be putting up all-pro numbers anymore, but what he does do is take pressure off everybody else. He makes it harder to double Zay Flowers. He gives Rashad Bateman more room to operate. He stretches the field just enough to give the tight ends more freedom. It's subtle, but it matters. The Ravens didn't just run it back. They leveled up. They kept the core, added veteran presence, and gave Lamar more options. That's scary. Defensively, the Ravens also made moves. The pass rush is deeper, the secondary is upgraded, and their young talent now has a year of experience under their belts. Mike Green, drafted in the second round, is already making noise. The cornerback group got a massive overhaul. Gone are Brandon Stevens and Trey White. In come established names like Jaire Alexander and Chidobe Awuzie. Plus, they drafted Malachi Starks at safety. And let's not forget Nate Wiggins, the first-round rookie from last year. He's not a rookie anymore. This is a group that's faster, more versatile, and most importantly, more reliable than what Baltimore was rolling out by the end of last season. Oh, and don't forget, Zach is in year 2 as defensive coordinator. You could see that unit getting better late last season. There's real momentum there, and that continuity, mixed with the added depth, makes this Ravens defense a different beast. So what does that mean for the Bills? Well, if you're Sean McDermott, you're probably burning through game film right now, trying to figure out how to structure your defense without breaking your identity. You don't want to reinvent the wheel for one game, especially not Week 1, but you do want to make a few key tweaks to handle Baltimore's unique challenges. One of the first decisions? Interior defensive line rotation. Against a team like the Ravens, stopping the run is non-negotiable. That means you might see Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue get snaps over someone like Dwayne Carter. Phillips, in particular, is familiar with Baltimore's run-heavy style. He's played in big games against them before, including that playoff win. He knows the angles, the pace, the punch. If he's healthy, he could be key, even if it's just 10 or 15 snaps. Another factor? Personnel versatility. Think about Dorian Williams, a linebacker with real speed and physicality. You're going to need that against Baltimore's heavy personnel sets, those double-tight ends, multiple backs, designed QB runs. He brings a size-speed dynamic that could be critical in sub-packages. Look for him to get some early work in rotational roles. He might not be a starter, but he could be one of the most important pieces this week. Now, here's where things get complicated. Cornerback depth and tackling ability are going to be tested. Big time. You don't want to move away from a healthy Tre'Davious White. If he's ready, he plays. Period. But if he's limited or not 100%, the Bills have a choice to make. Do they go with the best cover corner available or the best tackler? Because against this Ravens offense, tackling might matter more than anything. You have to finish plays. You miss one tackle on Lamar or Henry, and suddenly it's a house call. This is where the CB2 battle becomes more than just depth chart talk. Do you trust Dane Jackson? Do you roll the dice with Jamarcus Ingram or Dorian Strong? Whoever lines up opposite the CB, one isn't just covering. They're fitting the run, filling the edge, and being a D-gap defender. It's a totally different ask than most weeks, and the Bills need to get it right. The bottom line? You have to play your game. You don't throw away your identity to beat Baltimore. But you better have answers for what they do best, because they will test every gap, every angle, every hesitation. And let's talk roster construction. There are real questions about who's even going to dress for this game. With the final 53 set and the practice squad filled out, there are decisions coming, and some of them might be week 1 only. For example, do the Bills activate 5 defensive tackles? That might be a rare move, but it could happen this week. Do you go heavy on the offensive line or keep extra skill guys active? There's no perfect answer, just a series of educated bets. Who's more useful, a 5th wide receiver or an extra defensive lineman for early down run defense? Even receiver depth is up in the air. If Khalil Shakir is fully healthy and ready to own that slot role, do the Bills keep Elijah Moore inactive? That opens the door for Tyrell Shavers, who brings more size and special teams value. Curtis Samuel has the speed element locked down. You don't need another burner. You need balance. And on the edge, Landon Jackson versus Javon Solomon. Jackson gives you length and size, ideal for setting the edge against a power run game like Baltimore's. Solomon might be ahead in pure pass rush, but week 1 might not be about sacks. It might be about containment. Which guy gives you more of that? You pick him. Now, if we're going to understand how this defense works, we have to talk about the safeties. The McDermott system puts a massive burden on them. They have to disguise coverage, rotate pre and post-snap, cover deep zones, buzz into the box, and be elite tacklers in space. It's not just about athleticism. It's about timing, intelligence, and trust. And when they mess up, the whole system breaks. So when people say, why are safeties so important in Buffalo's defense? That's why. Because they're the glue. They make the disguise work. They sync with the pass rush. They fill run lanes from deep. It's one of the hardest positions to play in this scheme. And when the Bills get good safety play, everything else clicks. There's more to cover, much more. But right now, the focus has to be on that week 1 battle. Bills, Ravens. No more projections. No more off-season hype. This is where it starts. This is where you find out what you really have. When it comes to preparing for Baltimore, the challenge isn't just physical, it's mental. It's strategic. You're not just playing against talent, you're playing against tendencies, against structure, and against a team that knows exactly what kind of chaos it can cause. And if the Bills want to leave week 1 with a win, they need to approach it with surgical precision and just a touch of madness. Let's start with Lamar Jackson. This is no longer the Lamar of 3 or 4 years ago who relied purely on his legs to wreck defenses. Sure, the threat is still there. That insane burst, the shiftiness, the ability to make elite athletes look like they're standing still. That's all in the toolbox. But now he's evolved. His pocket presence is better. His timing is sharper. His touch on deep balls has improved. And most importantly, the Ravens have finally built the offense around him instead of just throwing him into it. You want to beat Lamar? You better rush smart. Blitzing him recklessly is how you lose. Give him a lane, give him an angle, give him a crease, and it's a foot race you're not winning. But if you rush with discipline, if your front four can contain while still creating pressure, that's where you can start to close the windows. That's where you can force him to beat you from the pocket without giving him the back door wide open. Now, add Derrick Henry into that mix. This isn't the same Henry that was steamrolling through the AFC 3 years ago. But let's be real, he still commands respect. You can't arm tackle him. You can't hit him high and hope he goes down. You need gang tackles, low hits, rally to the ball, wrap and roll. One broken tackle against Henry is 7 or 8 extra yards. Maybe more. He still forces defenses to stack the box. And he still sets up that deadly play-action game the Ravens love to run. And don't forget the tight ends. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Those are mismatch nightmares. Linebackers aren't fast enough. Safeties aren't big enough. And if your zone drops are even a step late, they'll eat up the seams all day long. The Ravens don't always have the flashiest receivers, but their tight ends? That's where they win third downs. That's how they keep drives alive. And that's how they were defenses down over the course of 4 quarters. So defensively, the Bills need to have the most adaptable game plan they've had in a while. You don't want to get caught rotating late. You don't want to be flat-footed against misdirection. You need communication, clean, sharp, constant communication from the safeties down to the defensive line. And that's where preseason matters. That's where continuity matters. That's where having a veteran group pays off. But it's not just about the defense. The Bills' offense has to answer too. And against a revamped Baltimore defense, that's no small ask. Look at what Baltimore has done on that side of the ball. They didn't just swap a few players out. They attacked their weaknesses. The secondary was inconsistent last season. Too many big plays, too much confusion on the back end. So what did? They went out and got veterans. Guys who've been there. Guys who understand angles, leverage, and timing. Add in Malachi Starks, who's got elite range at safety, and suddenly this is a group that doesn't have to gamble to get results. They can sit back in zone, they can rotate into man, and they can make you guess. This is where Josh Allen comes into focus. He can't be a hero on every snap. We know that's his instinct. It's what makes him great. But against Baltimore, patience wins. Take the checkdowns. Use your legs when the window's open, not when they're halfway shut. Trust your receivers to make plays after the catch. You don't have to throw the 60-yard bomb on 2nd and 7. You need to stay ahead of the chains, avoid 3rd and longs, and force Baltimore to cover every blade of grass. And let's be honest, the Bills' offensive line is going to be tested. Mike Green and that new-look pass rush bring serious heat off the edge, and they've got enough interior push to collapse pockets from the inside. If Buffalo's front can't hold, this becomes a different game, one where Allen is running for his life instead of picking his spots. The run game will be key. James Cook doesn't need to be the star of the show, but he does need to be efficient. Get 4, 5 yard to pop, keep the defense honest, set up play action. You're not trying to win a track meet. You're trying to control tempo. And when you got a guy like Cook who can also catch out of the backfield, it creates stress for linebackers. That's where the mismatches begin. Receivers need to win early. If the ball has to come out quick, you need separation at the top of the route. Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, even Dalton Kincaid. They're all going to be relied on to create space in tight windows. And let's not forget about Stefon Diggs. He's the tone setter. He's the one who makes the big catch on 3rd and 8. He's the one who draws attention and frees up others. If Diggs is dialed in early, it opens everything else up. So let's zoom out and ask the real question. What does a win actually look like for Buffalo? Stick around. This conversation's just getting started. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are circulating throughout the NFL landscape after an explosive confrontation reportedly occurred in the Buffalo Bills locker room, leaving fans and analysts scrambling to make sense of the turmoil. Sources close to the team suggest that Mike White and Mitchell Trubisky, 2 quarterbacks whose careers have been marked by both promise and controversy, were involved in a heated dispute during a recent team meeting. According to insiders, the altercation was more than a mere verbal disagreement. It allegedly escalated to the point where team leadership felt compelled to take immediate action to prevent further disruption. The timing of the incident is particularly concerning, as the Bills have been navigating a season already fraught with inconsistency and heightened expectations following last year's playoff performance. Rumors indicate that the argument stemmed from a clash of egos and competitive frustration, with both players reportedly criticizing each other's preparation, decision-making, and commitment to the team's overall objectives. While neither White nor Trubisky has publicly commented on the situation, anonymous sources within the organization claim that the atmosphere in the locker room has been tense for weeks, with teammates reportedly taking sides or walking on eggshells to avoid further conflict. Observers suggest that this internal strife could have broader implications for the Bills' chemistry, potentially affecting the offensive cohesion and quarterback dynamics that are critical to their success on the field. The decision to remove both Mike White and Mitchell Trubisky from the active roster represents an unprecedented move by the Bills management, signaling the severity of the incident and the team's commitment to maintaining discipline and professionalism. While injuries and strategic rotations have occasionally led to temporary absences, the simultaneous sidelining of two quarterbacks due to behavioral issues is virtually unheard of in the league, prompting speculation about the long-term ramifications for Buffalo's depth chart and game day strategy. Analysts are questioning how the coaching staff plans to address the void at quarterback, with some suggesting that the team may rely more heavily on backup players or even explore trade options to stabilize the position. Inside sources hint that head coach Sean McDermott has convened multiple closed-door meetings with both players, emphasizing the importance of accountability, teamwork, and adherence to organizational values. Beyond the immediate impact on the field, the controversy has reportedly triggered discussions about locker room culture, leadership dynamics, and the psychological toll of high-stakes competition. Fans have taken to social media to express shock, disappointment, and curiosity, fueling a swirling narrative that mixes fact, rumor, and speculation, making it increasingly difficult to discern the full truth. Amid this whirlwind, sports commentators are carefully monitoring any signs of reconciliation, player statements, or official team communications that might clarify whether White and Trubisky could eventually return or if the disruption marks the beginning of a more extended upheaval within the Bills' roster and organizational strategy. Beyond the tactical implications, the incident has sparked intense debate about player behavior, mental health, and the pressures of professional sports, raising questions that extend far beyond Buffalo's locker room. Pundits and insiders alike have speculated that the confrontation could serve as a cautionary tale about the challenges of balancing personal ambition with collective responsibility in high-pressure environments. With both quarterbacks having faced scrutiny at different stages of their careers, the confrontation may reflect deeper frustrations tied to performance expectations, media scrutiny, and internal team politics. Some analysts argue that the incident underscores the importance of leadership presence within the locker room, with veteran players and coaches needing to mediate potential conflicts before they escalate. Meanwhile, the media frenzy surrounding the situation has intensified as every social media post, cryptic comment, or passing remark is dissected for hidden meanings or potential admissions. Observers are noting that the ripple effects could extend to team sponsorships, fan engagement, and broader league perceptions, as controversies of this nature tend to dominate headlines and influence public sentiment. With speculation mounting, questions remain regarding whether this conflict will serve as a short-term disruption or evolve into a defining moment in both players' careers, potentially shaping their reputations, trade value, and future roles in the NFL landscape. The impact on team morale cannot be underestimated, as reports suggest that locker room cohesion has been significantly affected by the absence of White and Trubisky. Players who once operated in a tightly knit environment are now navigating a climate of uncertainty, rumor, and internal tension, forcing them to recalibrate trust and communication. Coaches are said to be emphasizing resilience, adaptability, and the necessity of maintaining focus on upcoming games despite the upheaval, while also attempting to prevent factions from forming within the squad. Analysts highlight that the loss of two quarterbacks, even temporarily, introduces strategic complexities, including rethinking offensive schemes, player rotations, and practice protocols. Fans have reportedly been divided in their reactions, with some calling for strict accountability to enforce discipline, while others express concern that the absence of the two quarterbacks could jeopardize playoff aspirations and competitive momentum. Adding fuel to the rumor mill, anonymous insiders have hinted at ongoing private discussions between the sideline players and management, though details remain murky. The uncertainty has created fertile ground for speculation, with every minor team update or cryptic press comment being amplified across social platforms, contributing to a sense of constant narrative evolution. The intensity of the media scrutiny is reportedly taking a toll on both the team and the players involved, who must now navigate not only interpersonal conflict, but also public perception, reputational concerns, and the pressure to return to form in a league where every misstep is magnified. As the saga unfolds, league observers are closely monitoring potential ripple effects across the NFL, noting that such publicized internal conflict can influence everything from draft strategies to free agent negotiations. Competitors may interpret the situation as an opportunity to exploit perceived weaknesses, while team executives across the league are reportedly analyzing how management handled the crisis to inform their own approaches to conflict resolution and player discipline. Beyond the field, the story has captured the imagination of fans, pundits, and casual observers alike, with speculation ranging from long-term suspensions to potential trade scenarios that could reshape not only Buffalo's roster, but the league's quarterback landscape more broadly. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.